Okay, so I did a lot of hair. There's a lot of hair going on. Okay. Hi everybody, my name is Kelsey and we're about to get very, very nerdy with my very first TBR of 2023. It is a brand new year, which means a brand new slate, a brand new basket, and a brand new TBR game. So it's not really a brand new TBR game, that just sounded really cool together. It's the same game. There are a few changes I am going to be talking about. So if you've never watched one of my TBR games before, welcome. This is the TBR basket. I will get into everything that you need to know about this in a second because, like I mentioned, there are a few changes. But the first one is, look how beautiful this new basket is. I went out and bought a specific TBR basket. I loved the one that I had for the past couple of years, but I was tired of fighting with that purple fabric lining that I just kind of like hodgepodged to make work, and it really didn't, and like the balls would fall out the bottom of the basket. It was a hot mess. But we now have this beautiful new sleek basket that is dedicated to the TBR game, and I am beyond excited. So if you are new here, hello, welcome. This is my TBR game. It's called the Basket of Reads. I have all of these little balls inside with prompts in them, from things I've made up to genres to things that I've stolen from people's readathons that I liked the prompt of. There's probably well over 100 in here, and I pick out 8 every single month, and then I hide them away so I don't get them in the next month. That is still staying. The 8 that we picked today, I'm going to set aside so I won't get those 8 again in February, and then they'll go back in for March, and we will continue moving forward. Like I mentioned, we are still going to be doing 8 picks every single month. However, I am doing away with punishments. It did not help me last couple of years, and last year specifically, it just kind of got out of control. And while I think it's fun to add prompts on to the TBR basket, it's kind of ridiculous and it got really stressful and out of control. So this is supposed to be a fun game, so that has officially gone away. However, I will add a reward, which is if I do finish all 8 prompts from the previous month, then one of the prompts I can choose which one and make it kind of a free read. And so instead of actually choosing something that's that prompt, then I can just read whatever I want. It's kind of like a free space, the middle space in bingo, you know, just something free that I can just choose whatever. So that's what I decided to do. Otherwise, I think the rules are pretty similar. Again, no punishments, picking 8 out every single month. And I did that mostly because A, I didn't want to add anything else, but also I have a lot of like video ideas, and there are specific books that I want to try to read every single month that I'm going to add on to the TBR beyond the 8 if I can't fit it in. But I think that really explains everything. We just pick out prompts and I find books to read them. So let's dive into the very first one. Pick number 1. Okay. Oh, author random letter. All right, so we got author random letter. So starting off with just a super random pick here. So I have my husband's phone. I'm trying to find the Google here, and I'm going to find a letter generator. And basically, whatever that letter is, I'm going to try to make it the author's last name has to start with that letter. But if I can't make it work for the author's last name, and there's one that I really, really want to put on this list, then I'll let the first name work as well. But that is basically what this is. So we have a letter generator wheel this time. Isn't that just the most fun? Okay, so let's see what we get. Well, this is more fun than it should be. Q. P. It's a P. Okay. It looks like Q. P. I need to have a think on this. I don't know what to do. Okay, so I did a lot of searching on my shelves, and I couldn't really find anything that I really, really wanted to read, but my middle grade that I was planning on reading for this month kind of fits in this vein. So I'm going to be choosing The Messengers, and this is by Margaret Patterson Haddix. It's her middle name, but it's not hyphenated, but I feel like she always writes under this name, so it's kind of like a package deal here. But this is the very last book in the Greystone Secrets trilogy, and I am very excited to dive in. This follows 3 kids who basically In the very first book, they discover on the news that there are these three kids with their same first, middle names, and then ages, and possibly birthdays. I might have made that part up, but they're basically almost identical, and they go missing, and their mom kind of freaks out and goes on a very fast, all of a sudden, work trip, and they are trying to figure out what happened, where their mom went, what's going on, and there's a lot more to it than just that, but that's just like scratches the surface. And this is the third book that just kind of will sum everything up. I have really enjoyed the first two in the series, so I'm excited to finish the series so I can finish one series in my first month. That's very exciting for me. Number 2. Ooh, a buddy read. All right, the next one is to read a buddy read, which is great because I have like 3 planned for this month. It's gone a little out of control, but like in the best way. So for this one, I'm going to be reading 10 Rules to Marrying a Duke, and this is by Michelle McLean. So this is the author who wrote some of my favorite books. I discovered her last year. She wrote the History of a Gunslinger series, or that duology, and so I'm buddy reading with my friend Taylor. We read those 2 Gunslinger books, and I want to try her other stuff because those 2 were so good that we're very interested to see what other things that she's got going on. She has Scottish romances, she's got Regency romances. We're very excited. So this one's actually a standalone Regency novel, and I'm very excited about it. And this one basically follows our main 2 characters. We have Arabella and then the Duke of Whistlelee, I think. It doesn't actually give me a name for him. Her sister has basically like run away with someone below their station, and she's trying to create a better name for her family. She's trying to marry a duke in order to kind of like get her family back up in society. And then we have the Duke, who is a rake and has just kind of been sleeping around and doesn't really need anything except for that he actually does have to produce an heir. So they strike a bargain, and they're going to get married, and if he basically marries her to save her family, then she'll give him an heir. And so it says that they have 10 rules, and it's basically a marriage of convenience. It reminds me of a Tessa Dare book that I read, The Duchess Deal, which was so good. And I'm very excited to see how this is going to go. I'm excited to see how her writing is when you change settings. I'm just very excited. But this is one of the many buddy reads that I'm getting to this month. I'll talk about the rest of them later, but like, I have many planned, but I'm excited about this one. Number 3. Oh, for goodness sakes, there we go. Okay, all right. A book with a tagline. The next one is to read a book with a tagline. So for this one, I'm going to be reading one that I don't have my copy of yet. I bought a special edition of it, and I don't know when it's actually getting here because I'm really good at buying things and then not paying attention to when they actually are going to be shipped. But I'm going to be hopefully finally reading The Very Secret Society of Witches, and this is one that I actually had the arc of last year and just completely failed at reading. But we're going to do it. We're going to do it this year. One of my unspoken goals is to clean out my NetGalley shelf again. It kind of rolled over from last year, so I'm hoping to do that, and this is going to be one of my first steps into doing that. So this book is basically just a very fun, whimsical vibe. It reminds me a lot of the TJ Klune book, House by the Cerulean Sea. So I'm excited about this. But we follow our main character, and she is a witch, and it's set in England or like the UK, in this world where like witches are very, very like, you keep that information on the down low. You don't really tell anybody that you're a witch. And she has a YouTube channel or this world's equivalent of a YouTube channel, where she pretends to be a witch and is like, look at my magical powers. And her audience is like, ooh, look at her doing witchy things, but she's not actually a witch, but she's actually a witch doing these witchy things. So she like plays her audience. And there's this house that has 3 young witches, and one of the caretakers in this house discovers her channel and is like, great. So they hire her to come basically train these 3 witches who are super powerful and are causing chaos. And so it's her job doing that. There's also the librarian at this house is very grumpy and not happy that she is there. So I believe there's a romance between the 2 of them as well. But it looks like so much fun, and I'm really excited about this. I really wanted to get to it last year, and it just didn't happen. So I'm hoping that this month, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I can't remember what the tagline is. I'll have a cover here. So I know there is one because I looked it up, but I can't remember what it is. But there is a tagline. I promise you. Number 4. Okay, read a secondhand bought book. The next one is to read a book that you bought secondhand, which is perfect. So I was hoping to get to this one either in December or January. So it looks like we're doing it in January. And that is this collection called Midwinter Murder, and it's by Agatha Christie. It says Fireside Tales from the Queen of Mystery. There are quite a few short stories in here, like if you see that. And I was looking at it and only 2 of them look like they're actually specifically a Christmas story. So I'm hoping to get to it in like the very, very beginning of the month so that I can get through my last little bit that technically is Christmas, but a lot of these are just kind of winter mysteries. I don't really know what any of them are about. I just know it says here, an all new collection of winter themed stories from the Queen of Mystery, including the original version of Christmas Adventure, never before released in the United States. So there are a couple of Christmas ones like I mentioned, but this one's really just a collection of short stories, which should be really easy to get through. And I'm excited. Plus snowy winter feels like a good time. Feels like now's a good time to read this, you know? And I definitely bought this at that book warehouse that is near our house. Number 5. Read a book with a light cover. The next one is to read a book with a light cover. So I am going to be reading the rest, hopefully the rest of Stupid Love Comedy. This is a bind up of the 3 volumes of the graphic novel. I am putting only volume 2 in this spot, but I'm hoping to actually finish this in January because I am very excited. I loved the first volume so much. So I'm hoping to get to the rest of this book. It is a manga. It basically follows our main character, Susie, who is a super lazy manga author. At the very beginning of the book, she gets a new editor, and the editor and her start off on the wrong foot, but he's determined to make her career successful and basically like help her out. It's all to like help his own career, but he's determined to kind of keep her accountable. And it's their story. I think they might fall for each other. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, she finds him very attractive, but the back doesn't necessarily say that there's going to be a romance, but I just have a very suspicious feeling that there will be, and I am on board for it. So again, I'll only put volume 2 in this spot, but I'm hoping to get to the rest of it. Number 6. Oh, set in or around water. I had to read that for a second. The next one is to read a book set in or around water. So I'm going to be picking, this one I wasn't sure about. I couldn't figure out what I wanted to read for this spot. But I've got some chunky things on here, so I'm hoping that this will work. It's really, really thin. And that is The Kraken's Sacrifice, and you can barely see that, by Katie Robert. This is the second, I believe, in her Deal with a Demon series. I read the first one, The Dragon's Bride, in October for my monster vlog. Look at that. Look at me. I am matching this book. I read the first one in the series back in October, and I really did enjoy it, so I'm excited to see what the rest of this is about. This is one that I got. I actually have this one as well as another one, The Demon's Bargain, because I'm part of Katie Roberts' Patreon, and she sends out copies of her books when they come out. It follows our main character, Catalina, and it basically takes place in this kind of world where there are demons, and the demons create bargains, and you basically, the demon will do something for you if you give him 7 years, and he puts you on like this, I don't know how to explain it, but basically you get bargained away to certain people, certain mythical people. The first book followed a dragon. This one obviously follows a kraken, and so she has nowhere else to go. It says the world has kicked her in every chance it got, and she's all too happy to leave the realm she knows behind. What's worse that could happen? And obviously it's going to be a romance between her and said kraken. But considering I'm 90% sure the kraken lives in water, and this cover gives me water vibes, we're gonna go with that and see what happens. So I don't know what we're getting into here. It might be a hot mess, but again, I enjoyed the first one, so we're gonna give the second one a shot, and also super short, so that'll be a nice easy one to like fit in with some of these thicker ones that I've got going on here. Number 7. Here we go. Ooh, a book with a foiled cover. Alright, the next one is to read a book with a foiled cover. So I'm going to hopefully get to Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I don't know if it's going to translate very well, but there are some aspects of this fairy loot cover that do have foiled elements. I do also think that the hardcover is foiled as well, if I am correct. So this is one that I really wanted to get to before the end of last year. It did not happen. Follow our main character, Evangeline, and she wants a happily ever after, but the person that she thinks that she's going to get her happily ever after with is marrying somebody else. So she makes a deal with this guy called the Prince of Hearts. In exchange for his help, he asks for 3 kisses to be given at any time and any place of his choosing. So I don't know what the story is going to really be happening, but I do have the second one in this as well, which is also a fairy edition, and so I'm hoping to get to this one so I can read that one. Maybe, I believe there's a third one as well, so we can read those before the third one comes out, but I don't know, it just looks like fun. I'm excited about it. We'll see, but it is one of the thicker ones this month. And last one, number 8. Let's make it a good one. Here we go. Ooh, highest rated on Goodreads. And the last one is your highest rated on Goodreads. So I'll plop it up here because I did it a little bit earlier, but I went in on my phone and I went in to find which was the highest rated on Goodreads. And I will say I had to scroll through quite a few because a lot of the highest rated ones aren't out yet. So I can't actually get those. But the one that is the highest that I could actually read is Spy Family. So I had to go a little far of the way down because I think some of the other volumes were above this one, but Spy Family Volume 3 is where I'm at, so that's what we're doing. Very excited about this because, like I mentioned in my goals, this is a series that I want to get to, but this series basically follows this guy named Twilight who is a spy, and he is sent on a mission basically to infiltrate this private school, but in order to do so, he has to kind of create a family. So he runs into this woman, and basically they strike up a bargain where he will protect her, and she will pretend to be his wife, or I think they actually do get married. And then he adopts a young girl from an orphanage, and that's going to be his bargaining chip into the school. What he doesn't know is that the wife is actually a trained assassin, and she does odd jobs on the side, and the daughter is a telepath. I can't remember if he knows at this point or not if she's a telepath or not, but she's a telepath and can read his mind, and so is able to do what exactly he wants from her. So it's this hodgepodge family that actually is turning into like a real family, and it's super cute. But this is the next volume. I don't really know what we're getting into. I remember the last one ending off on quite a cliffhanger, so, or maybe not a cliffhanger, but a dramatic reveal. So I'm excited about this one, and yeah, I'm just really happy that the highest rated was this, because I was worried it was going to be something huge. So that's it for my actual TBR game, but I do have a couple others that I want to add on, some buddy reads, other things like that. Like I mentioned in my goals, I want to read a middle grade historical romance and nonfiction every single month. I was able to get both a historical and a middle grade in my TBR, but not a nonfiction. So the one that I'm going to hopefully get to is Antoinette's Sister. This is by Diana Giovanni, so I think it's definitely a name that I'm going to have to learn how to pronounce. It's exactly what it sounds like. It follows Marie Antoinette's sister. I read a book, I'm forgetting the name of it right now, but it was by Nancy Goldstone. Oh my goodness. The Shadow of the Empress, I believe, and it followed Marie Antoinette, 2 of her sisters, and their mother, and it followed them throughout time. So this one follows, I can't remember what her name is. It's Maria Carolina Charlotte, and she becomes the Queen of Naples. And so she was just one of the other 2 sisters that was followed in this other book that I read, and she was really fascinating to me. So when I saw this, I was like, I definitely have to pick this up and read it. So that is my goal, is to read this one. It's going to be following her life and how she basically like ran Naples for quite a while because her husband was a giant child, literally couldn't grow up and act like a child until like the very end of his life. And so I'm just really interested to see this author's take on it, to hear her story, that kind of thing. So that's the nonfiction that I'm planning on reading. And then I do have 2 other historical romance buddy reads going on. The first one is with my friend Taylor. Yes, we are buddy reading 2, technically 3 things this month. But that is The Chief, and this is the very first book in the Highland Guard series by Monica McCarty. There are actually 12 books in this series, so we're going to try to read this over the course of this year, one book a month. And like I said, this is the first one. So this is basically, the series follows a bunch of different people that are in the Highland Guard, and they are guardsmen, and they were hired by the king to free Scotland from English rule. So this one specifically follows a guy named Tor Macleod, I think. The love interest is Christina Fraser. I don't really know the details of their romance, but this is the idea, at least. And I'm very excited about it. I think it's going to be fun. So, I love a good historical romance. And then we are resurrecting the Tessa Dare buddy read because it was kind of dormant for a couple of months. At the end of last year, we all just kind of like had 10,000 other things to do. But we're resurrecting it by finishing out this trilogy. And this book is Three Nights with a Scoundrel. This is the third and final book in the Stud Club series. And I'm actually really excited about it. The first one was just kind of meh. The second one was really, really good. And this is the third one. So hopefully we'll get to it we'll at least start it in January. We do have to physically read it, so it might take a little bit longer. But the Stud Club is basically these three guys who own different amounts of this horse. It sounds really weird, but it's basically like they have shares of this horse, and it's the three people who are left in this club. And so this third book follows a guy named Julian Bellamy, and he has been in the last couple of books. We finally get his story, and it all starts with the guy that basically created this club. He ends up getting murdered in the very first book, and that's kind of what sparks the rest of the series and the respective romances. And it follows him and the sister of this guy who was murdered as he's trying to figure out what the heck happened. So it's interesting. I'm very interested to see what's going to happen because there has been this mystery of who did it through the past two books. So I think we're finally going to get to the end of kind of the whodunit, and I'm very interested to see who it is, because that actually has been a part that I'm very interested in. But this is their romance. I think it's not necessarily second chances, but it's maybe like friends to lovers. They've known each other for a long time, and there's some secrets in his past that are causing issues. It says here the third time is the charm, so I'm wondering what that means. I don't know. I'm excited, but we're doing it. We're gonna finish out the Tessa Dare books because after this we only have like 2 left, and that's just a crazy idea. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna finish out that series in January, hopefully. And that's it. Those are all of the books that are on, well, not all of them, but those are most of the books that are on my TBR. I have a themed vlog idea, so there's definitely a couple more that I haven't talked about, but I'm very excited about January. I have very ambitious plans, so we shall see what happens. Lots of buddy reads, but I'm excited. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the very first TBR of the year. Let me know if you have, always let me know if you've read any of the books that I talked about in today's video. But let me know some of the books that you're starting out the year with, what you have on the horizon as far as what you're reading in January. But if you like this video, and I very much hope that you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you'd like to be part of this awesome growing family. I've also got all my social media down there as well as other fun bookish links, so remember to check all of that out, and I'll see you guys in my next video.